installation of the application. Adding to that, you may have other scenarios like you need to create a user. Under that user, you want to do that. There will be lots of need like this. Okay. And you may want to place some application configuration file onto the target, or it may be like the binary file you want to deploy it onto the target, right? So whenever I want to deploy application, there will be n number of needs in the server, like starting from application installation, configuration, managing the users. Okay. And in a bigger organization, you may have some kind of a security standards needs to be followed. Okay. When a server comes up, I want to disable some of the existing services, default services. All those things will be a work of a system administrator, and all these things can be automated using Ansible. IT support, like whatever I told about, right? Like configuration of the server, application deployment, provisioning, and adding to that, there may be scenarios comes into the picture, right? I want to provision the server on the fly. Okay. So these configuration management tool will also do that. And what is the advantage of this? Okay. So the same advantage what we are going to get in the Jenkins file, right? So here the instructions are going to be written as a code. So I can have version control on it, and I will be able to repeat it on n number of servers. Let's say before this configuration management tool comes in, whenever you want a server, so the system admins has to go bring up the server. On that, they will install the application and they will do all the configuration and they will give the server to you. Okay. And next time when you're asking for another server, the system admin has to repeat the task because that was done manually. Okay. In the case of a configuration management tool, he has to just write the code once. Okay. And whenever you ask for a server, he will run the code on the target server and that will configure the server, and the server will be ready in a very faster manner. Okay. So this is the advantage you are going to get in the automation, and in that you will avoid human errors. Okay. And you will write only once. Okay. And you will reuse it. So those are all the advantages you are going to get, and you can have multiple team working on the same thing, right? Previously in the normal manual scenario, there will be only one system administrator who will be working on the task. But here, when you can collaboratively code, there'll be multiple system administrators can come and write a code and you can use it effectively. Okay. And why Ansible? I told about there are other tools available, right? Puppet, Chef, and SaltStack. Why Ansible is better than them? Okay. So Ansible is a open source solution, and even Puppet and Chef are available in the open source. Okay. But the other advantage is like it is agentless. This is the major advantage for Ansible compared to the Chef and Puppet. Okay, you don't need to install any application onto the target machine. So for the Linux servers, it will communicate to the SSH. For the Windows server, it will connect via WinRM. That's called Windows Remote Management. Okay. So without any additional software installation, you will be able to manage it. So it is much easier. And next thing, our advantage over Ansible is it was developed on Python, and the instructions, whatever you are going to write it in the YAML format. So you don't need any additional skills needed to do that. But in case of Puppet and Chef, they use their DSL, that's called domain specific language. So you need to understand their DSL and you need to write codes on that. But in Ansible, you will be writing the instruction in a YAML format. So you don't need a better, like you don't need to learn more or learn new languages and things. Okay. So this is the advantage. And then um, it has a ready to use modules. Like for example, I don't need to reinvent the wheel again and again. So if I want a module that should be available or that should be needed to install IIS, so there are pre-defined modules available. I can reuse it. Okay. I don't need to rewrite everything from the scratch. So there are reusable modules available and I can use it. And scenarios like imagine there are not reusable modules available and you have your own requirement. You can also write your custom modules in Python, but basically there you need a Python language. Okay. And then next advantage over Ansible is you can configure a rollback on failure. Okay. So it provides you option to roll back whenever there is a failure happen. You can configure the rollback. And then it is very simple and human readable because it is written in YAML format. Okay. As it is in YAML format, it is self-documented. So these are all the advantages of Ansible over the other tools. Okay. And performance wise, Ansible is a lot better because it is very lightweighted compared to the other tools. Okay. And there is no agent needed. So performance wise, Ansible is better than the Chef and Puppet.